Welcome to the Paisans Podcast. We're your hosts, the brothers from other mothers, Dante, Dave, and Sark. Join us as we talk about current events, our wives, kids, or whatever else life is throwing at us this week. With the Paisans, you're with family.
I wanted to share a story with you guys about this experience I had with the place that my mother gets, where my mother lives. I don't know if it's funny, but it's just one of these stories. It's like, God, how does stuff always end up happening, like becoming a crisis, you know? Even when you think you see it like a long while away. So I won't get into specifics of the place, but my mother now lives in an assisted living place, not far from where I live here. They're really nice. They treat so reasonably priced. They're wonderful to, the people. I mean, there are moments I can't be patient with my mother. So
people who do that work are incredible.
Mhm.
I mean, and they don't
Yes,
all
and-
do it with a smile, and some of them,
Well, and you hear stories too about some of these
you hear
places.
stories. But
of course.
that said,
And look, they're not highly paid, and it's challenging. I mean, you're dealing with adults who do childish things, like literally where like some of them, they need to be washed, they need to be bathed, they need their diapers changed. And some of the behavior too, like they can still be like grade school children at times, but that's neither here nor there. This is a story about their billing, right? So when I set her up, it was when I moved her in, it was unbelievably informal. Like I had the whole agreement. There was a thing and she signed it. I think she signed it. Like I don't have to sign anything. It's her commitment. She's the one who pays for it. She has a pension and she gets her Social Security. So at the time, I was doing a whole bunch of cleanup financially. I mean, I don't have to go into specifics. It's just enough to say that when I moved her out of her apartment into the assisted living, I took over managing her finances. And I realized that her finances simply had not been managed up until that time. I mean, there were just piles and piles of unopened letters and bills and things. And so we were finding and closing accounts for months. Like I had to return her car because she had a leased vehicle. I had to deal with that. I had to return that. I had her cable. Okay, fine. But then out of nowhere, like she, I had to change her address with the post office. And that took about a month and a half. I submitted it quickly, and then it took a month and a half, and then all of a sudden, boom, she got a huge stack of stuff. A lot of it were like final notices of like all sorts of bills of different accounts that I didn't know she had, and she didn't know she had. She doesn't open her bills. So, and that's like, we could tell the whole story, but we talked about adults behaving like children. Well, for my mother, when she gets overwhelmed, she just sticks her head in the sand and just ignores the problem. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so for months, years, her bills, she pretty much had ignored her bills. Like anything that she had to pay, she set up an automatic payment, including her rent and other things. Everything else, like she would go, and after like 6 months, there'd just be so many stacked up bills that her sister and her sister-in-law, let's just call them her sisters, because they're like her sisters at this point, would just go over there and they'd be like, all right, Lucille, we're going through all of these things. And they would go through and they'd dig it all and they'd be like, all right, you got to pay this, this, and this. She'd pay it. And then just like, all right, we'll probably do this again in 6 months. It wasn't spoken. It's just, that's what was going on. So when we moved her, like there was a pile of letters and bills and all sorts of stuff. And it was a challenge too, because there was all sorts of stuff that she claimed she had that she didn't have. Like she insisted that she had gotten power of attorney for me, and she didn't have that. And there were other documents. Like she still insists she has a life insurance plan. I can't find any documentation to prove that. So, and then she's like, no, I have it. I gave it to you. I'm like, you did not give it. It's like the ultimate gaslight, or like, throw somebody under the bus. It's just like, no. Like my will, everything that proves like my Social Security, I gave it all to you like 2 weeks ago. You don't remember? Where is it? It's like, give me a break. Okay. So that's just a little color in terms of dealing with my mother.
Well, I was going to say
the
power of attorney is kind of important, but it sounds like in your mom's situation, there's not a lot of money to protect if she's in debt.
I got a power of attorney for her. But I sort of, I did it online. It was like a very simple kind of thing. And then I brought it to the bank to submit it to the bank. And they were like, no, we can't take this. And they pointed out a certain clause to me. They're like, this clause, the way that this is said means like it's circular. And I was like, actually, you're right. And so I was like, all right. So I got another one, which I've still got to get filed with them. But I got that signed and notarized and everything. It's just one of these things. This time I got it for me and my wife because she basically took over dealing with all of this, because it got to the point where I was like, Jen, I can't, this was me talking to my wife. I was like, I've got a job to do. And my mother is like dead weight. She doesn't help at all. She can't answer. She can't tell me what the passwords are. I've got to call these places, reset her passwords. Like, it's tedium.
Detective
and I don't
work.
even, and exactly, Mike, it's 100% that. It's detective work, right? And I was like, so my wife, God bless her, was like, I get it, no problem. Just give it to me and I'll deal with it. And she has done a fantastic job of all this. Having said that, this all started back in like January, February, when we moved my mother into the assisted living. So in February, we moved her into the assisted living place. And I said at the time to the people who were there, like face to face, I said to the woman, like, now, when will we get an invoice? She goes, oh, no, like, we don't invoice, you just pay. I was like, all right, like, who do I pay to? Or like, what's the amount, what's the exact amount? And I asked questions. She's like, don't worry, they'll contact you. Like, we have all your information. They'll contact you. I'm like, well, who's they? Can you give me a person's name? And she's like, just call me, just text me, whatever. It's not a problem. I don't want to say this woman's name, but this woman's sort of like the operations person there. She's right there, and she kind of runs everything. She runs everything. So she gets direct text messages from God knows how many people all day long. It's
yeah.
She's a woman. It's how she chooses to manage her business. To me, it sounds like utter chaos and a nightmare. But
so she's the owner of this business, or she's just like the ops manager?
She's like an administrator.
Got it.
But she doesn't do the billing. Like, she doesn't balance the books or whatever. So, all right.
Okay.
So this is early February. So I don't put it out of my mind, but I'm just like mentally, I'm like, oh, great, I got to make sure I make the first payment. Now, mind you, I've taken my mother's, she gives me her checkbook. She's like, please, like, just write any check you need to write for me, basically, not please. Here, Dante, you pay for anything. I don't care. You write it out of my checkbook. All right, fine. So, and that actually becomes significant later, and I'll tell you why. So, like, a month goes by. I never hear from anybody. So I'm calling this person. I'm texting her. I'm like, I still haven't heard. She's like, don't worry, they'll contact you. Like, can you give me someone's name? And literally, she writes it to me. She sends me an email. An email address, but the way that it comes through the text, like, it wraps, and I'm like, wait, I don't think this is right. So I email that email, and immediately I get a response like, that email address doesn't exist. So eventually I write her back. I'm like, so-and-so, that email, can you confirm for me? Like, or can you have her email me? Here's my email. Another month goes by. Now it's like April. Now it's like April. So it's been like 4 months. I've never gotten a bill.
Okay.
Now, at the same time, we finally basically were caught up. When I tell you, it cost her a couple $1,000 probably. Yeah, that's maybe a lot, but it cost her over $1,000 in fees. And we lost track of how many credit cards and just like outstanding bills she had that were just like creditors. I mean, we would get the creditor note, and my wife would call them and say, can I pay this bill? And they'd be like, oh my gosh, thank you. And she was like, sorry, it was my mother-in-law, but now that I know that we owe the bill, we'll pay you immediately. So finally paid off all her debts. And I'm thinking to myself, like, when February came, I was like, Jesus, I hope she has enough money in her bank to clear the first month. In fact, she probably won't. So in my mind, I was like, I'm going to have to front her like 1 month's rent. And then over time, as she finally can save money, then I'll pay myself back. But I don't know what her monthly nut is going to be on top of, like, I know exactly what her cost is. Like, there's a set amount every month that she pays them. And that basically covers everything as far as her living, her food, they're taking care of her, whatever.
That's fantastic, actually.
It's a great arrangement.
Yeah,
again, like, it's a good place, right? I wanted to pay them. It's like that's the moral of the story. I mean, it's like, let's not lose the thread. This is all about me trying to pay them right out of the gate and kind of being told like, yeah, chill. So I'm like, all right. So by the time April rolls around, I'm like, look, at this point, I'm sure there's enough money in her account to pay for whatever she's accrued plus, so at this point she's well caught up.
Okay.
But she has pharmacy bills, doctor bills. It's tight. She's maybe got $100, $200 a month to play with. She doesn't have much money. Okay. So why is that relevant? Because these months go by, these months go by, these months go by. Nothing. Okay. So at a certain point, I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I mean, I don't know what to say. Like, I've chased them. And I'm thinking to myself, it's unbelievable to me that it's been 6 months and they have never gotten a check on her behalf. And it's not like they don't know she's there. There was two of her roommates died in the time she was there. Suspiciously. No, I'm kidding.
Foul play was suspected, but ultimately cleared.
Now they were strangled in their sleep. But anyway, no, I'm kidding. No. But after the second one, my mother got ornery and she started complaining about, she got a third. That's what it was. They gave her a third roommate. And the third roommate clearly had dementia, had like severe dementia, would be up in the night talking, waking my mother up, asking her questions, saying she was trying to pack to leave. Like, I was like, with this, I can't have this. So of course I'm getting the call. And then of course my wife is getting the call. It was like, I need you to call them and move me and this and that and the other. So my wife, again, God bless her, she calls this woman, the administrator, here's the issue. Yeah, we know about this, blah, 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 blah. Okay, fine. So they move her. She's moved rooms. And I'm like, something here has got a flag that somebody's like, how much is she paid? Like, never happened. So, eventually Jen gets to the point where she's like, I don't know what to do. I called, I've left 2-3 messages already, Dante, and they don't call me back. I'm like, all right, I'm leaving one more message. I'm going to leave a nasty message. And I heard her. She was like, basically, she's like, I don't know what's going on over there with you people. I've called, I've emailed, I've texted, I've asked her a dozen times. Nobody seems to want the money over there. Lucille hasn't paid a bill in the time she's been there. I'm calling you because we want to set up payment. We want to start paying you for the bills. But if you don't want to get paid, just don't call me. I don't know what else to do. So, okay. Fair enough. So that's what she dropped on their doorstep. Okay.
That's a message you'd never think you'd have to ever leave in your life.
Right.
Hello, I'm trying to pay you. Why won't you take my money? Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is just sort of like out there. And then, as you know, a few weeks ago, we were going away to Italy. So the day before we leave, she gets a phone call from the woman over there who manages the bills. Okay. Now, I'll just say this. All the good things I've said, like, this woman wasn't a bad, she's not a bad, angry person, but she's clearly one of these people who was just like, she's got a wrong wound, and she took it as like a direct implication that she had done something like seriously wrong. So she was just like, I don't understand. Like, we call back, we this and that and the other. And Jen was like, that's fine. I don't care. I'm glad you've called me. How do we pay you? And it was like, but I'm this and that. And she wasn't angry. She was like explaining. And it was almost like, that's fine. You don't have, listen, thank you. Whatever it was, it got your attention. All I wanted was to get on the phone with you. Mm-hmm. How do we do this? So, I mean, it was crazy hearing that whole interaction, which is something that I'm sure we're all familiar with. It's like you get on the phone with a person and it just is like, we can't talk about, it's like, this could be a 30-second phone call, but I got to listen to you like go off on a tirade because you think I insulted you. It's like, whatever. Here's what I need. Like I wasn't insulting you. It wasn't personal. I couldn't get somebody to pay attention to me. Now I got your attention. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just do this. Right. Okay.
Well, how many other conversations like that is she having with 100 other people?
Oh, God only knows. Right.
Yeah.
But by the way, in an instant, it's explained to me like why. I'm like, yeah, well, this is why, this is why we never heard. And so there's no process, She was like, well, so-and-so, she right away blamed that woman who's the administrator. I don't understand. Why wouldn't you pay in the first month? At a certain point, I think I ended up on the phone with her. Why wouldn't you pay the first month? I was like, I didn't know where to pay, who to pay. I asked a dozen times. And she was like, well, but they should have told you. I was like, I understand that they
Okay.
should have
Talk to
told
them
me.
about that.
Yeah,
It's
but they
like,
didn't tell me.
Yeah.
That's why we finally contacted you. I don't understand what the argument is about. I want to know how much we owe. So finally, once we talked her off the ledge, it was like, well, this is a real problem. We need payment immediately. And we're like, well, listen, we're leaving for Italy tomorrow. Okay. Like it's 10 o'clock, it was like 6 o'clock.
Now it's an
like
emergency for them.
Right.
All of a sudden now.
So my wife says to her outright, she's like, look, this has been going on for 6 months. I find it hard to believe that this is suddenly an emergency like today.
Amen.
Well, fine, but when you get back, we have to resolve this immediately. Like, no problem, we will. Like, what does she owe? Can you just give us the number? Well, I'll have to calculate it. It's like, hey, fine.
My God, this wouldn't even give you an inclination.
It's so frustrating because, again, you understand how hard I was trying to get in touch with her. So here's the capper. We're in the car on the way to the airport the next day, and she calls. It's like, here's the amount I've calculated. It's $25,000 blah, blah, blah dollars. We're like, okay, as soon as we get home, we'll come over with a check for that amount. Well, this has to be paid immediately. We're like, that's not happening. We are literally in the car on the way to fly away for 10 days. Well, somebody's got to, we need something. Can't you make payment with a debit or something? It was like, no. My mother's debit is not here with me. And this has been over 6 months in waiting. So again, I don't understand why this is such an issue. She's like, well, can't you make some type of a payment? Can't you make some? I was like, you know what? Here's what I'm going to do. I was like, because we're in the car and Adria's in the car with us.
Okay.
I'm like, Adria, listen, this is what I want you to do. When you get home, after you drop us off, when you get home, because it was in the middle of, it was like early in the day. Our flight was at like 9 a.m. or something. I'm like, go into my drawer, go into my desk, get Nana's checkbook, write out a check for that amount, go over, get Nana to sign it, and bring it upstairs to this woman. Like, you're in the same fucking building. Like, it was utterly ridiculous that this suddenly became a crisis. And we're like, 6 months I've been chasing you. All of a sudden, I'm literally on the way to the airport and you're telling me it's got to be done today.
Of course.
It's complete horseshit, but that's exactly what I've come to expect, especially when you're dealing with people who, again, are like, I don't want to say incompetent. I just mean like, she's not well paid. It's like, this is a person who's largely doing this out of the kindness of her heart. Like, I can tell from the emotion. I'm like, you're an empathic person.
Yeah.
You do this because you care about people.
Keeps her coming.
And
yeah.
Yes. And so you feel attacked. And so and I understand it. The emotions are running. But the truth of the matter is, I'm not your enemy. Like, I'm your ally here. And you will see, you're going to get a check on time every month. Like, that's what's going to happen. But right now, I need you to give me some grace. I mean, it's been 6 months. All of a sudden, it's an emergency, but fine.
Right. And not only is it emergency, but now you're getting the feeling that they're accusing you of like skirting them.
Oh, 100%. I'm like, 100%. You're like, right. So on top of all the other things I've talked about, like, let's just be blunt. Sometimes you're talking to somebody and you're like, there's a cognitive ceiling here.
Yeah.
And so I've got to be like, how do I explain this in a way that you can understand it? And then you get that, you still feel the energy back and you're like, all right, I just have to like be fireproof to that energy because there's clearly it's seeped in and there's nothing I can say that's going to extract it, except it's just going to be time. The next time I see you, you probably will forget that this ever happened. But this was definitely a moment where I was like, all right, I've reached a cognitive ceiling. It was the same way when I had my pool, Doug, and the guy is out here and he's doing things and I'm asking him, well, how are you going to this? Or are you going to that? He's like, well, no, this doesn't happen. That doesn't. And we'd reach a certain point in the conversation and I'd be like, I'm going to stop asking questions here because I can see what's going on and I've reached the limit. It's just like, but 2 + 2 is 4. So.
And you said it, the same people like that won't remember they'll keep you on the phone for an hour and then not remember having the conversation.
Yeah. Oh my God,
you'll remember it because you wasted an hour.
Yes. So here's the capper to the story, because I guess part of this story is my mother just doing her best to sow chaos in my life, and really not only not giving a shit, but being like, so You know, like, okay. So get this. Adria comes home, and my daughter, God bless her, she doesn't even have a checkbook. Like, they don't write checks anymore. You know,
Right,
she's too young to write a check. So she takes out my checkbook, not Jen's, but my checkbook, and she writes it out. Now she asks ChatGPT, and according to her, ChatGPT said, it doesn't matter whose checkbook it is. If you tell the bank whose money it should come from, that's where it comes from.
Oh boy.
So she writes a check for over $25,000 from my bank account, has my mother sign it. Now, my mother, notice, this is a woman who has written plenty of checks in her life. She sees it, either doesn't know, doesn't show, or doesn't care that it's actually written from my checkbook. So she signs it. Gives it, and the bank, I'm in, you're going to love this. I'm standing on the streets of Venice, and my phone comes up. Did you, Dante, write a check for $25,000? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, fuck me. Because just think about it. If I say yes, well, then the money's going to come out of my account. If I say no, they're going to stop the check. They're going to call it fraud. I don't know what's going to happen to any of my accounts, or like what they might say about drawing from my account. And the home, you know, the home place that's trying to cash the check is going to get a fine. Okay. Now,
That's right.
it just so happens that it's almost time for me to pay tuitions. So I had the money in the account. So I do the calculation, and I'm like, the best path for me here is to say yes. So I did. I was like, yeah, that's fine. So boom, they got their money. A la me.
And they haven't charged you since, I bet, right?
Yeah, well, no, they don't send a bill. But now at least I know where to send a check. So I just finally started sending a check from my mother's account. So I finally set her up to do that. She's squared away as far as paying her.
Yeah.
Okay. And now I can look in the bank and I see how much money she actually has. So I had to figure out a way after that to get the check, you know, get a check written to myself. So
Yeah.
I come back, you know, finally come back home. The money's sitting in my mother's account. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to have her write a check to me. So I, through Bank of America, we were both in the same bank, and my mother gave me her bank information. So I have her cut a check to me. Comes, I get it, I sign it, I bring it to the bank, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry, there's a stop has been put on this check. So it doesn't even occur to me. I'm like, so I asked my mother, I said, Mom, did they text you and ask about a check? She's like, oh, I don't know. I don't check my texts or whatever. I'm like, that's what happened. They texted you to ask about it, and you never responded. So they put a stop on the check. Because, I mean, look, you got to look at it from their perspective. Here's a woman, barely has a pot to piss in. All of a sudden, her bill stopped, you know, like the money stops draining. She accrues all this money, and then a massive check that cuts 97% of the money out. Okay, yeah, that should, I totally understand that that's going to flag their fraud, you know.
Yes.
So I had her handwrite a check. I'm like, fuck this. I'm like, here's your checkbook. Handwrite a check to me, which she did. And I said, now I'm going to go deposit this in the bank. I want you to keep your phone on you. And if you get a text that asks, or email or a call, you tell them, yes, that check is legit. She's like, all right. So sure enough, it took me a couple of days, but I went over there and I cashed it. And she called me. She's like, I just wanted you to know that they called me. And I told them, oh, yes, it's my son. And I told them what happened. And I was like, oh, God. The poor slob on the phone was like, okay, thank you, ma'am.
It was probably just an automated call or something. It was just talking to a robot.
So finally got the money back. But that it took like a month, you know, for that to happen, between just me to cut the first check and then for me to go to the bank. There was a moment too where I thought, it wouldn't shock me if she makes this really hard for me, because there's some part of her basically doesn't want to pay me back. But she did. So once I took the pen and put it in her hand and made her write the check, and basically said, look, you can do things with your hands, I can do things with my hands.
While you're telling the story, Dante, I was thinking about how
Yeah.
ironic it was that you're saying that your mom has brought you a lot of chaos, and she wasn't really organized with her money. So now she's in this assisted living place where things are going very well. People are nice, whatever. She's getting taken care of, but they are like equally as chaotic, and they're equally as unorganized with like their own system. So it's like you thought that this process was going to be much smoother and better, but it's like now all of a sudden it's like they don't even know what they're doing. Like they're not collecting payment from you, and then when they do finally figure it out, it's an emergency, and now they're pressing you, and they put you into this weird situation where it was inconvenient. It's just kind of ironic.
I'm actually surprised they didn't play the card like we'd hate to see your mother out on the street. We need $20.
Anyway, I had to tell you guys that story because, the Italian mother jumping into my life while I'm in Italy, like all of that happening is just like, there's something poetic about it, I suppose. The issue of getting the check from her to me, I thought I could Zelle it. You can't Zelle that much money.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
It's limited.
Yeah,
I signed her up for Zelle, but apparently even with Zelle, they track you, or like they, based on your account, has a different amount of money. So like I'm allowed to Zelle a certain amount of money. And I was like, all right, maybe I'll Zelle myself money like every day over the course of 5 days or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I signed her up and they limited her to $1,000.
Probably a credit
and
score.
And we're going to verify with you. And every time that they would have to go a verification, I got to get on the phone with her and say, okay, Mom, I'm going to click this. They're going to send you a text. You need to give me the text. She tried to log into the bank account. She tried to use the wrong information or whatever. So guess what? Got to reset the password. And then every time you go to log in from a new device, it wants to check with a code. So all this to say, I got to get her on the phone. I'm like, all right, Mom, I'm going to click the thing. They're going to send you a text. Click. Where, and then it's the classic, oh, wait, it's not. Oh, damn it. It's not on this. I don't know. It's not. It didn't get it. Oh, wait. No, wait. Hold on. I got something.
You're trying to imagine what she's looking at, right? Because there's only one screen with text messages. How hard is? What are you looking for?
She's got an Android, so I don't I don't know the Android operating system nearly as well, obviously. But it's like you're hearing all this talk and like this, and then my mother, so she's like, I swear to God, this fucking thing, like she's getting so angry, and then she's like, it's I got it. Okay, hold on. Here's the number, and then she gives me a number. I type it in. No, that's wrong. Oh, wait. I said, have they sent? Mom, is that when did they send you that? It says June. Oh, wait. Oh, sorry. Oh, hold on. That's old. I don't know where the other ones are. Dante, they're not. Oh, wait. Oh, they're all, hold on. I got it. Like I can tell she's scrolling in the thread. I'm like, Ma, it's going to be the most recent one. And it's like, it fails like 3 times. She gives me the wrong number. And then it's like, well, hang on. Now you need to do this other step.
Yeah.
Where they're like, who the fuck can't log in after 30 times? So when she says shit like, oh, yeah, Netflix is charging me, we can stop that. I'm like, I swear to God, I would reach through the phone and strangle you. We can
Hold on,
stop
Mom,
that.
I've got a captcha here. It says, select all the inept mothers. Give me a minute.
It's like, which of these images is not you strangling your mother to death? It's like, no. If you look carefully, you can see there's a hand around that woman's throat. Sorry. Try again.
You are not human.
Which of these is not you pushing your mother down the stairs?
And you know what, though, is there's always like that one that's like borderline where like it's like the street light is like kind of in one of those shots. That picture's just you thinking about you pushing her. You didn't actually do it yet.
If you look closely, that's actually a guy that you're pushing down the stairs.